All right. If my calculations and my pushing buttons are correct, we are live. So.
Looks like we are. Yeah. All right. Good.
All right. I got to welcome Evan as a return guest, Dustin as a new guest to the Boats and Shows podcast.
Thanks for having us.
We've had a lot of fun with this. First time Evan came on, there was the program I was using wasn't working very good, but we figured it out and we nailed it. And Evan's show was good before, Evan thought it'd be cool to have Dustin on today to talk a little bit more about the Scarab build, and also to kind of highlight what Dustin's doing with his business. Dustin is owner, runner, operator of Menace Marine. That'd be kind of cool to talk a little bit about Menace Marine today and what they're doing with Evan. So. I'm not going to talk the rest of the time. I'm just going to leave it up to you guys. So.
All right. Well, ask a question.
I kind of talked to Dustin on the phone earlier today. I said, hey, man, why don't you give us a quick little, doesn't have to be quick, as long as you want, introduction of Menace Marine and your history with that. So.
Okay, I think I got most of that. I was a little jumbled.
Yeah, part of it.
But as long as you guys can hear me, we're good. That started Menace Marine 2012. Been boating my whole life since I was 5 years old, basically. But always wanted to do it. Knew nobody would ever, let me work on their stuff if I didn't know what I was doing. So I bought my own boat when I was 18, and my dad was a lawyer, so he couldn't help me. So I learned how to wrench a little bit. I worked for GT Performance down in Upland for 5 years. It was great. Had a great time. Learned a lot down there. Those guys are super cool. Left there after 5 years and worked at Castaic Boat Marine up here, just doing family boats, 4 winds, and tournament boats, that kind of stuff. Did that for a few years and kind of got to the point where I had 5 or 6 boats in the driveway hooked up to my car, the wife's car, or whatever at the house, just trying to hustle side work, and I think the neighbors got a little irritated and had to finally open the shop. So we started the shop officially in 2012. Subleased from Gene over at Howard Boats. So we did that for a few years, and then moved up to Castaic, where we're at now. Been here for two-ish years, something like that. So it's just been a kind of constant progression. Now just me. Now I got 2 guys working for me, and I need another one. If somebody listening wants a job and knows how to work on boats, call me.
There's the first plug.
Yeah. We're hiring. I got a customer here on this podcast that wants his boat done, and we need more help. but yeah, I mean, that's the long and short of it.
Now, Jaime Gamboa, did he work for GT?
Yeah, I worked with him for the whole 5 years I was there, before he went off to be the personal assistant of the rich and famous. And he was a good dude, man. We had a lot of fun together. We spent a lot of late nights at GT putting motors in boats at 3 a.m. and doing the midnight shift. He was a fun guy.
He's definitely a fun guy. I saw one of the things Dustin posted earlier today. I saw that Jaime commented on it. So I didn't know, and then now it makes sense why he commented on it. Obviously, you and Jaime know each other very well, so.
Yeah. I still look for him when we're out at the dunes. We go hang out for a little bit. The only place I know him, I'll find him still.
Yeah, Pad 5 every weekend. So.
Yeah. I make the trip over from the slums where we can't.
So, got Dustin, Menace Marine, like you said, been in business pretty much for full time since 2012, and then we've got Evan. And Evan, yeah. How do you and Dustin know each other, and how have you guys gotten involved over the years? So
yeah, I think it was a couple of years. I don't even know, man. It's like everything runs together now. But I think it was 2 years ago. I used to go ride up in Gorman because I'm an off-road guy too. And I used to go ride up in Gorman, and when you come back down, headed into L.A. from on the 5, you can look over and see, Dustin's shop and all the big high-performance boats and things. And I think that's right when, and Dustin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Mario Latka at that time had that shop. And then I called one day and said, "Oh, I'm going to get a boat," and he's like, "Yeah, I'll move to Arizona." And I was like, "Well, shit, I can't find anybody in the valley." I went to like 7 different, boat shops, and I don't know if it was my hillbilly ass accent or what it was, but they were like, "Yeah, I don't even know if you have a boat." And I was like, "But I do." And so I was on River Whips. Shout out to Greg. There's the first plug. I was on River Whips, and Dustin was on there and made a couple of posts, and I was like, wait a minute, man. He said he's in Castaic, and I looked it up, and it was that same address. And I was like, okay. So I drove up. I just got my old boat, the Hick Life boat, and I drove up and walked up on him, and he was working on a 496. I'll never forget it. It was on a block. It was out in the sun. He was freaking sweating, and I was like, what's happening, man? He turned around. He's like, what's up, dude? And I said, I need somebody to work on your boat. And he was like, what do you have? And I told him, and he was like, oh, it sounds freaking bitching, man. Bring it up here. I'll work on it. So that was a couple of years ago. I think it may have been even longer than that, but anyway.
Yeah, it was right when we moved to the new shop. So it was probably
that was March
2 years, 2.5
February, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the season.
Yeah, so it was March because I just picked the boat up and it was all jacked up. I needed somebody to fix it. So, and he fixed it. And the cool thing about Dustin, I'll throw a shout out to him, and kind of the way he is and his character is, when he fixed the boat, there was, it'd been sitting for like 7 years in storage back in Kentucky, and he fixed a few things on it, changed the oil, whatever. The motor was in pretty good shape, and there was I can't even remember what it was. It was like a drive line indicator something, and he got the boat all done, and I was getting ready to pull out, and he looked at it, and it was brand new, and he goes, oh shit, dude, I forgot to charge you for that cable right there. And I was like, oh, I'll give you my debit. He was like, nah, screw it, man, it's cool, you'll probably be back. And yeah, so that
I don't know if I ever charged you for it.
I think you did. Here, let me go through my files, man.
Yeah. No, don't look.
But that just kind of shows you his character. He was like, hey, get out of here, go boating, man, have a good time. And I'm sure he charged me for it. If he didn't, he got me somewhere else.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not worried about it. Sometimes you got to give a little. We've certainly done plenty of business together.
Yeah, we have, and it's funny he says that, because he's like, he found out I'm a drainage engineer by trade, and but we do a lot of concrete and outdoor kitchens and fire pits and things like that. And when we started the Hick Life build, I don't know, now 2 years ago, I guess, again, year and a half ago, and he was like, hey, I need a concrete driveway poured, and I need this, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And so we traded out things, and man, then it turned into this big outdoor kitchen that was supposed to take 2 weeks, and took me 4 months, and because it was hot as balls outside, and and then he started, so it was like, we traded all kinds of stuff around, so we became pretty good friends, along the way.
The Hick Life project was fun. I think it started. It wasn't even the full. It wasn't all built when we went to Mojave, was it?
No,
I think it wasn't. It was still it still had this regular motor in it, and we went out to Mojave, and that's when you broke the drive.
That was the drive number 2. Yeah, I was trying to race him in his Eliminator, and I was like, I almost got you, and he was like, it's cute you said that, but that's not good. But then he pulled me back in. I was like, well, how much cooler can that get? Your mechanic pulls you back in. But he didn't build that drive, by the way. I'm just saying. Yeah.
But it turned into a project. He said, "Oh, let's fix the drive." And then, okay, well, while the drive's off, can we make the motor make any more power? Yeah. So we ended up turned it into a blower motor and did all that. And then, let's do trim tabs. And then he ended up getting the boat wrapped and then custom exhaust. And it went from a drive repair to basically a full engine compartment re-rig, and it snowballed like they do in the wintertime when you go, well, we're already here, let's do this,
Yeah.
But it was cool. A lot of people, I like projects like that are, that have the skeleton with a 6-shooter and or something different, I like building different boats. I can't rig the same thing over and over again. It just gets old. Shout out to the guys that can do it, Bill at Howard Boats that can build the same boat every month, but I couldn't do it. I like to rig 1, maybe 2 a year. and the rest just service. It just takes too much. It's so much, you put a lot into them, and you can't do it every day. You get tired of them. You don't want to work on them anymore. The projects get stale. So that one was fun. It was a cool one to do, and it was definitely cool advertising. People knew that boat all over the place.
The best part about Hick Life was when I had Evan on the first time, I didn't do a lot of research on your boat or anything, and I remember the first time you came on, Evan, all your friends were in the comments, and they're like, oh yeah, Hick Life. And I'm like, what is this boat? And then the first picture I saw was from the Catalina Fun Run, and I was like, holy, and you were telling me how rowdy it got and how rowdy that boat was. And I remember the first picture I saw was like, it aired out on the Catalina Fun Run. I was like, whoa, that's pretty crazy right there. So
yeah, that boat was really lightweight. It was a handful to drive. But the pictures you're talking about is actually when I ran with the Gentry boat, and Eric Briner with Fast and Loud was in the helicopter and got some photos of it. And then we did another run over to Catalina. We were chasing Chris Matalone right before the Catalina ski race, and we went over to kind of run to Catalina with him, and yeah, it got nuts. Dale was riding in the passenger. He's my ride or die in the ocean, Dale Schwartz, and he was riding the passenger seat, and Eric Briner was in the back seat trying to take, photography and video, and he couldn't. We were running like 80 miles an hour across the ocean, and the speaker came out and fell in Dale's lap, and he's like, shit, dude, you lost this. And I was like, put that in the cuddy, man. Like, Eric lost his phone out the back of the boat. It was crazy. But yeah, that boat was fun, but it's on. It's got a guy in Arizona has it now. So, but yeah, I'll lead into the Scarab thing, because it kind of, that's what it boils down to, is when Dustin got done with that boat, or I say done, we could have probably never been done with it, but when it was done, I was like, man, you know what? I'd really like to build an old Cigarette or an old Scarab or something like that. And he was like, hell yeah, dude, I'm down, man. Let's do it.
What he means is, after he got tired of icing his back for a week and being in the ocean in the light 20-footer, he decided he wanted a bigger boat.
Yeah, exactly. When he got tired of welding my bolster seats back together every weekend. Yeah. So, but I was like,
we both know it was when your wife rode in the boat and said she wanted a bigger one. So
yeah, exactly. It's true. She hated that boat, man. She was so scared of it. But, so I told him, I want to do something bigger. And he was like, cool, man. If you find something, let me know. Little did he know, 2 weeks later, I came rolling up at Menace Marine with this boat. Hick Life was sold. I had a donor boat with motors. Like, he was like, holy shit. Like, really? So I'm dropping it off. Like, here you go. Like, start building. So, and that was in, like August. I missed half a boating season last year, half a boating season this year. So, yeah. Yeah. Dustin.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bummer, man. I feel for Evan. It was supposed to be a brand new transom. Somebody painted over some shit. Unfortunately, it happens more than it should in this business. And you don't know. I mean, just by quick glance, it looked good even to me. And then we climb in there and start poking around, and it was, on a positive note, it was the easiest transom and stringers we've ever replaced as far as removal, because as soon as we cut the glass, all the wood fell out. It was so rotted out. But yeah. Some got everything all squared away in the back, so the whole back of the boat is square, it's straight, it's as it should be, and it's solid as hell. Like, it's this center stringer's 5 inches thick, the transom's 2.5 inches thick. It ain't gonna break now.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way. And to say something else about Dustin's character too, because when he called me, it was on Christmas. I was actually at home in Kentucky, and he called and he's like, "Hey, dude, like, I hate to ruin your Christmas and your New Year's and the rest of the year, but your transom's rotten." And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah." So I said, "All right, well." He goes, we kind of got into it. We're going to tear it all out, and, it's a couple hours to rip this thing apart. And I was like, all right, I'll come up there when I get back home. So I went up and talked to him. And at that point, I'd been out of town for a week. I'd talked to my wife, Melanie, already, and I was like, it's rotten. Like, he's already basically got the motors built. There's like 25 grand in motors sitting there that I can sell. Like, I was already trying to figure out how to get another boat. So, and when I went up and talked to him, and Chuck, the guy that kind of runs the shop next to him, kind of an old school offshore guy, and I talked to them both, and I was like, well, here's kind of my plan. Like, I got motors, I got drives, I got transmissions. If I sell all this, and Dustin was like, whoa, man, wait a minute. And I was like, well, it's like, he goes, well, we can fix the transom, and he's like, basically, they don't make these boats anymore. You know what I mean? Like, there's very few of them around. You really can't find them. And he's like, if we get this thing right, like, name your price. Like, you can put your own price on it. And I was like, you know what? You're right, because I've always wanted this boat. So why would I throw it away just because the transom's rotten? It can be fixed. So they fixed it and did a bang up job, and it's got new gel coat back there, and they put like battery trays on the side, and it's bitching, man. It really is. So I'm happy.
So, I mean, I don't know much about offshore boats, about big boats, about old boats. And this maybe might be a question more for Dustin. So, a boat that's gotten a rotten transom, Dustin, I mean, is that usually, a lot of people just give up on that, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the boat. If it would have been the boat that we pulled the motors out of, I would have said don't bother fixing it. That thing wasn't anything worth saving. But this one, like I told Evan, was, it has history. You can't get it anymore. It was a known good boat. There's a few of them left in various conditions, but not a lot. If you sell this one and try to buy another one, maybe that transom's rotted too.
Yeah.
So at some point, kind of like a Shiata, you can restore a Shiata because they got value. They hold their value because, I mean, good luck getting a new one. They still make them, but good luck getting one. And so people will spend money on them. And this boat, same thing. It's a cool boat. It's not worth a ton to everybody, but to the right person, it's worth a lot. And one, it's something Evan always wanted. If that's your boat, like your dream in life, why let it go because of something? It didn't have wood in it when they laid it up in the factory. When they put the bolts in the mold, they put the glass in, then they add the wood. So, we can take it out and add it again.
Yeah, so the shell's still good. It's just all
exactly. And it's got to be done the right way. We didn't cut the back of the boat off. We did, we ground all the glass off the inside. We added the transom. We added the stringers. We cut individual pieces and then did the glass work and tied everything back together. So, everything was on jacks. It was all leveled. So stuff doesn't have a chance to twist. It doesn't have a chance. So that way, when you go to put it back together, it's square. You're not glassing a triangle back together. And then once that was done, then we went back out to the outside and ground the outside of the transom and squared up the outside. Because, I mean, you're talking about molds that, generally these molds in these older boats were framed with wood. So they weren't, from boat to boat, they weren't exactly the same. The molds would twist in the sun. The boats wouldn't end up always square. They wouldn't always end up straight. So it's not uncommon to find a boat that's, even new boats aren't as straight as you imagine they are, But everything got once the inside was solid, we ground the outside out, got everything squared away, and then that way the drives would go on square, and everything that's just like an off-road car, like the center spine of the chassis, everything builds off of, you have to have a straight starting point,
Yeah.
You can build the best arms in the world, and if you mount them on tabs that are crooked, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with boats. It can't, anything can be fixed, at some point it's not worth it, but for this one, I think it was, we've seen a couple pop up for sale since we started this project, but I don't think any of them are anywhere near what yours is going to be when it's done. And you would have had to spend a lot more money to buy this just to rip it, to buy those just to rip it apart and get it to where this one's going to be anyway. So,
exactly.
I think it's worth it, Yep.
All right, hold on one second. So when I switched to the pictures before, we lost sound. I want to make sure that we're going to keep sound this time. So for the listeners, if you're seeing Dustin in the middle, let me know if you can still hear the sound of me talking, because I'm going to try to get some transom pics up here that Dustin's talking about, so you guys can kind of see these. Wally Gallegos, that's what I'm working on right now, is some progress pics. You guys don't need to see me, so.
Yeah, there they are. I'm watching on my phone too. I just saw Dustin now there's the transom, and I see it. Yeah,
so when we switched over before, I lost sound. I like I said, guys, the picture thing is new, so we're gonna work with it a little bit, but just so you guys can see. So Dustin just talked about this, grinding down all the glass on the outside of the transom. Let's see if I can get that's the rot picture. And I think this is the inside of the transom, if I'm not mistaken.
That's actually the outside. That's the back of it. That's after they had the front glassed in, and it's when it's not finished, but it's in the progress of it.
Yeah.
And that's the inside after they gel coated everything when it was fixed.
So let's pull this one out, and then so we got motors. Let's talk. Let's the next picture is some motors.
Yeah, motors are good.
The motors are cool. I'm kind of proud of them. They
me too.
They did good. We started with what we had. Like you said, he bought another boat basically to pull the motors out of, and just like everything else with this project, we were hoping they were in better shape than they were. But
they were horrible. Don't let him. They were bad, dude. Like
it was.
They were.
It was a twin engine boat with two motors that had two different sets of parts in them, and it had been rebuilt at two different times, two different types of gaskets. Just they were both big block Chevys. That's about.
They were supposed to be like 520 horse motors, and like just from the parts in there, he's like, you're lucky if it made 350. Like it was bad. It was bad.
They were I think they were like 460s or something like that. They had like 30 over pistons in them or something, but they were flat tops. They had old iron oval port heads on them. There's no way they were any more than 8.5 to 1. They had stock heads. Just nothing special at all.
They were shit. That's what they were. Complete shit. Yeah.
So we opened them up. We tried to use what we could. They had decent cranking rods in them, so we kept the cranking rods. We kept the blocks. Did a bunch of machine work to them because there was a bunch of wear from improper assembly and everything. So we did all that. They're 496s now. They got big offshore oil pans on them. We put a lot of people gave me shit when we started. I don't know if I'm supposed to cuss on here. Sorry.
You can. You're good, dude.
And drink. Yeah. Drink and cuss. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get the cocktail in time. But a lot of people were talking shit a little bit when I decided to put oval port heads on them. But we wanted something that was going to be a good all around boat. Like it had to park in the dock just as much as it had to run down the ocean. So we put a set of AFR oval ports on it. They're hard anodized in and out, so they'll handle the ocean. They've got all good components in them, and then went through and just put them together with the right parts. Like I said, good forged pistons. They're 10 to 1 compression roughly, and they've got fairly mild cams in them, and they made good power. They got I think they made 690 foot-pounds, like 680 horse or something right in that range. I've got the dyno sheet somewhere, but
let me correct him. 680 foot-pounds and 690 something horsepower. I don't want to lose any horsepower numbers. So I'm telling everybody they're 700s basically.
I haven't heard it. We dynoed one. They're the same motors. So it was more to get the tune right, make sure the fueling was right. They are carbureted, but make sure the carb was right and make sure timing was good, everything was safe. and then we can just transfer that to the other motor. Didn't really see the reason to dyno 2. Hopefully that doesn't kick me in the ass later, but I don't know why it would. We're generally pretty good with having motors seal up and no problems, so it should be good.
So it's got some bitchin' motors. You're able to kind of make something out of nothing, is what it sounds like.
We scored him a good set of exhausts. So we got some big tube Stellings for it. He got rid of the IMCO manifolds that he had, so now it'll look like an offshore boat too. And then
and the Stelling exhaust. If there, I'm sure there's people on here, some of the older cats, man, that Stelling has a sound like no other. It's when you hear those ran, they're going to be dry too, so they're going to be super loud. They actually sound like a like a stock car. They really have that stock car sound to them. So when you hear a boat with a set of dry Stellings running down the lake, you know exactly what they are. So I was super stoked about that.
Yeah, and he's going to let me do the tailpipes. Cool. I've been wanting to do a set of shotgun tips for a while, and his project will be fun because it's got, we're still running transmissions in it, so we'll get to run the tailpipes and wrap the tailpipes in above the transmissions and go straight out the back with 2 tips. And so you'll have just exhaust right above each drive, real simple, and it should look pretty cool. I want to do a set of oval. I want to do a single oval tip on something, but I don't think Evans is the right one for it. I think he wants the shotgun. So I'm not even going to ask him. I'm going to save that for when I do a flat bottom, or when I finally build my Howard to go race the Shayada guys.
There you go. Yeah, the exhaust is going to be bitching. I'm that guy that likes to scare small children at the dock, so yeah. It's going to be awesome.
When we did Hick Life, we did the same thing. We do all the exhaust here. I've got my buddy Eric's a killer welder, so he comes and does all of our fab work here, and he's he'll come in and we'll make him dry all the way out the back like we did with his last one. So it'll cackle. We gotta buy headsets so his wife doesn't have to listen to him.
Exactly. Yeah, you couldn't hear in Hick like you could. That boat was so freaking loud, man, and people still talk about how loud it was. This one's gonna be right there with it. So.
What are we doing for drives? I know boats nothing without some drives behind that motor.
We're keeping TRSs. It's gonna be a little old school. It kind of came down to, Evan could chime in if he thinks it's different, but it kind of came down to a cost thing. It wasn't certainly weren't gonna go put 6s on it, and to buy anything in all reality that's better than a TRS as far as the ability to handle the power was going to cost a pretty good amount of money. You go to like an IMCO SCX setup or something, you can buy a lot of TRSs for what those drives cost.
You can. There's 2 or 3 people because I watched, place on Facebook, and there's people. I've already found pairs of TRSs, rights and lefts, I can pick up for $2,500 that they say, they're running, which is whatever. But, and again, we wanted to keep this thing semi-period correct. So 6s or 8s or MCOs or whatever is not period to that boat. If I was going to do something, and we will eventually, I'd like to do some kind of a surface type, drive, which are 3s, 4s, or 5s. I know Conrad makes a direct bolt-on replacement for the TRS drives, and Conrads are pretty awesome. They've been, proven with the Navy behind big diesel power, boats, and they last a long time. So, but for now, even trying to find a set of number 5 Speedmasters, I found them with transom assemblies and everything, and they're $20,000, and people say, oh yeah, they work. Well, yeah, my transom was supposed to be new, and these motors were supposed to make 500 horsepower, and how that shit goes. So, spending $25,000 on a set of 30-year-old drives is just not something I was going to do right now. So, yeah, so we're running TRSs, but the transmissions supposedly are built up to withstand 1,200 horsepower. So hopefully it'll make it a little easier on the drives. Which you got to know how to drive a boat too. So
yeah, we're doing it. It's TRSs, but we threw away the old school TRS tie bar that mounts to the trim rams. It's getting full hydraulic steering. It's getting a real tie bar. We got all that stuff from IMCO. It's getting full rail kit, like motors mount set up. Like it's gonna be the way it would have been. This isn't your everyday 38 Scarab from back in the day. This, trying to set it up the way somebody might have done, like, one of the race boats. The exhaust will be a little bit different, but it's not that unheard of for somebody to do something like that in, offshore racing anyway. So it should be new technology with a period correct look, which is fun. We did a Campbell like that years ago. That was really cool. Built a good, it looked like an old school, like what you would have built out of a catalog from the 70s, like old PAW catalog or something. But it had modern parts in it. It ran every day, turned the key, and it went, and everything was solid and built right. But it just, that little twist to make it look, so if you open the hatch, you go, oh yeah, that looks about right. And then 10 minutes later, you look and go, oh, I didn't notice they did this. Like I like subtlety. Yeah. I don't like names on everything. I don't like, I don't want it in your face. I'd much rather somebody look at the boat 3 times before they see, oh, I didn't know they did this, or I didn't know how they did that, or that to me, I think is cooler.
Yeah, and to go along with that, because he just mentioned, like, it's going to be period correct, but it's going to have, components in it that are offshore race style. And it's funny about the 38, because it's a 1987 38 KV, and everybody thinks the KV stands for Kevlar, and it doesn't. It actually stands for Vice, which is the Vice is because it's from the Miami Vice period, and then is actually Betty Cook was a lady that raced offshore back in the day, and she ran drives on her Scarab. And so this boat was basically designed after Betty Cook, the female offshore race champion. She won so many championships, it was crazy. So it's just more history that kind of goes along with it, and it's pretty cool.
It is cool. I mean, I think it's cool to hear, what you guys are doing, new technology, old technology. Obviously, I know, Evan, you're the type of guy that you want to get in it and you want to turn the key and you want it to go. And I know that you've had a lot of frustration with things, but it sounds like, going with Dustin and Menace Marine, that's what kind of boat it's going to be. You're not going to have to worry about, shit falling off the back of it. You're not going to have to worry about, having issues every time you go out. Obviously, there might be a few little bugs up front. It's a 32-year-old boat that you're putting back on the water, but it sounds like it's going to be a really hardy, reliable package. If you can say that about any boat, so.
Yeah, no, it's true, and and that's why I go with Dustin, and we're friends and we talk about things, and he knows how I drive a boat. If my wife's not in it, I got 2 speeds, as fast as I can go and stop. That's it. So. And this boat, and that's why I wanted the motors the way they are, and that's why he built the motors the way they are, because I want to run 2 or 3 hours on end, wide open, and I don't want anything to happen to him. He knows how I drive, so, and that's what I like. You're going to spend all the money on this boat. I'm not going to pull up on the beach and hang out all day. I want to drive the shit out of it, so that's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Evan, your wife Melanie asked, Menace Marine, how many builds do you average per year?
Builds, not that many. Like I said, I like to do like 2 a year. As far as like boats go, maybe not even that many, maybe just 1. We do a lot of service and repair. It's hard. The big builds are a lot of money. People think, oh, that's where all the money is and all that, but it's not. I mean, the customers spend a lot of money, and we're grateful for that, obviously, but there's the amount of time that goes in it, you can't bill for it. It's more of a labor of love, essentially. I like doing it. So we, like I said, we usually do 1 or 2. We did Evans is the biggest one we're doing right now, but we're doing a 21 Daytona right now that's getting the customers involved with, so he's going to do a lot of his own stuff, which is cool. I like that too. So he pulled the boat all apart. We capped it, completely re-gel coated it. I built the pump for it, and then and we're painting the trailer. And then he's gonna put his interior back in. He's gonna put his gauges back in. At least he said he is. We'll see. may have us do it. But so we do a lot of like partial builds like that. We're doing a Hondo right now for a guy that's restoring it. It was I haven't got the whole story, but I believe his friends were the original owners. I don't know if somebody passed away or what happened, but we completely re-gel coated that boat. We actually gel coated the names of his buddies onto the transom, and the name of the boat into the back. Everything's all permanent. He doesn't want to get rid of it. It looks kind of like what Evan's boat's gonna be. Like it looks like it came out of Hondo, but a little bit fancier. It's a little bit more metallic in the gel, and then everything, a little bit more custom. Stock components, but we're powder coating everything, putting it together proper. And he's trying to get another 30 years out of it before he hands it down to his kid, kind of thing. And then the rest of the stuff that's here is, we just did a conquest for a guy that we rebuilt one of Alexi's motors, one of the boost power motors that had been around for God knows how long. Looked like it had 1,000 hours on it. I don't think Alexi had seen it in years. We rebuilt that, and he's actually been really cool with us. We needed a little bit of tuning adjustments because no two motors are the same, and he's helped us out a lot with tuning. I try to work with everybody. Chuck, Evan mentioned Chuck next door. Chuck owns the business right next door to us. We're in the same lot, running two separate boat repair shops, and we get along just fine. There's plenty of boats out here. I don't need to fight with anybody. I'm not after anybody's customers. We have enough customers. I mean, don't take that as we don't want any more, but I don't want anybody else's business. I want to do my boats, and I want to do stuff the way I like it, and try to help people get the boats that they want. And everybody's got different visions, and that's why there's so many different shops, because somebody can help you, whether it's us or Boost Power or Chuck next door or GT. There's a ton of good shops, and I still try to work with all of them. Still call Mac down at GT when I'm building drives, because every once in a while I come across something I haven't seen before, and he worked for IMCO. He's been doing it longer than me, so there's together everybody achieves more. It sounds stupid, but it's I don't know. At the end of the day, I want to go boating, and I want to be at the lake and not have people waving me down pissed off because something broke. And if that takes me asking somebody a question, then so be it. I don't care. But I go to the river. I go to the river with Evan. I go to the river with a lot of my customers. And that's how this started. I just like going boating, and I couldn't afford to own them if I didn't know how to work on them. So that's what got me into it. And like I said, the shop number is my cell phone, and I don't like getting yelled at. So we try our best so that people aren't pissed off.
It says a lot about a business, though, to actually go out and play with your customers, go out and enjoy time with your customers, because in a world where it's so easy for people to get pissed off and blow up a business on social media or on the internet, like, it says a lot that you'll still be out there. Even if something is going on, you can still give them an honest answer, like, look, it's just this, or it shows that you have faith in your own work as well. That you can go out there and not get yelled at, while you're out playing with your family, with your customers too. So
yeah, you mentioned that. I'm not gonna lie, I did a little research today and listened to a couple of the old podcasts so I could figure out what this was all about. So I couldn't find Evans, so I didn't know how that was gonna go.
I blew you up on that one too, man.
I couldn't find that one, but I heard the last one with Alexi and River Dave, and Alexi was talking about how. It's all about how people approach you, when stuff goes wrong. And it's true. I mean, we're not perfect here. I do my best. And like I said, at no point does anybody that does any sort of job, with Evan's work or anybody else's, like, you don't want the subpar product, And if somebody comes to you and has a problem and they do it in the right way, like, you bend over backwards for people, and people don't realize that, like, I mean, I know when my customers are at the river. So when I see their names pop up at my phone, your heart sinks for a minute. And you're like, I hope it's good. Like I hope they're calling to tell you that everything's okay. But every once in a while something happens, and you want to make that right. Whether it's your fault or not, but you want the customer to be happy. Because like I said, I know boating's expensive. I know it's a luxury. And I don't want to go out and have problems. And believe me, I've blown up a lot of stuff. It's, you know, we have a little tradition with my friends that whoever breaks, buys drinks. And so it gets doubly expensive. And there's been a lot of days where I've blown motors up or hurt things because just trying to, you do your R&D on your own stuff. You don't do it on the customer's boats. So sometimes stuff doesn't work. And, you find out the hard way and you end up at the nautical spending a couple $100 on drinks on top of your repair bill, But, nobody wants to break. You just want, you want somebody that's going to answer the phone afterwards and, make it right, whether no matter whose fault it is, at the end of the day, you just want to go back and boat, so. I'm
gonna plug Dustin's character one more time. I've been doing that a lot, but it means a lot to have a guy that's you depend on, and because I don't know anything about motors and things, like I'll drive the shit out of a boat, but I don't know how to build any of it, and I trust him to do that, and I pay money to do that. I got a really good friend of mine, Lee Yosef, that's got a 25 formula that a guy really messed him around on his motor build, and it went kind of south, and it was an insurance job, and I said, look, dude, go to Dustin, he'll treat you right. Dustin rebuilt the motor. I think Lee was out, Dustin, like 2 hours and popped it again. And it was basically a bad push rod from that was a manufacturer thing.
It broke a rod bolt. I don't know how. It was a new set of rod bolts. They were ARPs. It broke.
Yep.
And,
So here's the thing: is like Lee called me like, dude, man, like I thought Dustin was. I was like, man, you got to talk to him like he is. He's a good dude, and his shit's right, and freaking Dustin rebuilt that motor for him and put him back, and it didn't cost Lee anything. So that's the kind of guy he is. Like, it wasn't even his fault.
We've also built motors that lasted more than 2 hours too.
Well, most of them last way more than 2 hours.
We'll just throw that out there too. We took care of Lee's, but we strive for more than 2 hours.
Yeah. No, exactly. And that's, but just saying who he is. He takes care of his customers. He's not going to leave you out to dry. That saying, Lee's a good dude. He understood.
Lee handled it better than he needed to. And, it was, you apologize all you can, and it's just not sometimes stuff breaks, and I felt bad about it. I know Lee was bummed about it, and, hopefully his new one's running, and it's been out a few times, and it seems to be happy and everything's good. So hopefully it continues that way, and we don't have to build it again for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So
I didn't think there was a sport more expensive than off-roading until I started hanging around the boat world.
Shit, man. Holy cow. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I got sandrails. They spent a lot of money on those too.
Well, that too, yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I got kind of into that from my buddy that does all my welding and stuff, and used to have dirt bikes and had a kid and got the job and told myself, I own my own business. You can't get hurt anymore. I need a roll cage, So I convinced the wife I needed a sandrail because we had a baby now. So we got into that, and then that's started out with a little Volkswagen Trans wannabe long travel car, and moved up, and that's a whole nother world. We kind of wanted to advertise that side of our business a little bit, and it turned, we're so busy with boats, we don't do a whole lot of off-road stuff anymore. But I mean, we still do a little bit. I like custom electrical and wiring and stuff. So we wire like a car a season or something like that. But that's off-road stuff's crazy expensive. I don't, an Albin's Trans makes the IMCO drive not look so expensive. So it's all a matter of perspective. Everything's, jet boats are cheap, and so are Volkswagen cars. It just depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, we just had Sean from Weddell Industries on the Dirty Dooner show, and I told him, I said, look, dude, I want to start with the 091 bus box, and I want to move up to the Albins and just throw out prices. And it's crazy how much feedback that people said, they didn't realize, how much an Albin's transmission is. A lot of people don't realize how expensive, the top tier drives are, stuff like that. It's all sometimes drives and transmissions make motors seem cheap. So
yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know. I said it a lot, man. I try not to mark up parts a whole lot, and Unfortunately, the parts business isn't what it used to be just because of Amazon and the internet. I mean, I've found parts on Amazon for cheaper than I buy them direct from suppliers that we have, a dealer agreement with. It's just, and customers will come to us sometimes and say, hey, how come, I can buy it for this? And it's like, look, man, like, by all means, like, if you can, I understand. Like, we're not trying to make a ton of money off parts if that's the case, but at the same time, we can't warranty them if you bring them from somebody else. Granted, it's the same part, but if it doesn't fit, now you're paying double labor, where if we supply it, it's on us.
Yeah.
But it's, transmissions in the off-road world and drives in this world, like, if I didn't have a connection on parts, like, I don't know how some of you guys do it, like I feel bad for people when stuff breaks, like you said, everybody wants, I remember I blew up I had a SCX4 on my 26 Daytona that I sold to Lance, and I blew that up and just grenaded the whole bottom. It looked like a shark came up and took the bottom off of it. And I don't even have a cool story for it. We were just cruising, and my kids were taking a nap. And, like, they never break when you're driving them hard. They break when you're going slow. And it literally looked like the only saving grace was the prop didn't fall out and go to the bottom, because the prop was, $5,000 cleaver. And I went back to IMCO, and not expecting a warranty or anything, but just like, hey, if you guys want to tear this apart and try to see what happened, and they looked at me and they asked me how much power was in it, and I told them 1,200, and he just laughed, and he's like, you boat guys are stupid, and this is coming from a guy that builds drives, but he's like, this isn't what, those things were built for 800-900 horsepower. Granted, they hold more, but I remember when I was at GT and the XR was all we had, and we had customers that would take spare drives to the river, they literally would change drives in the parking lot and go back out and boat, and then they'd bring us the blown up one when they came home. And it wasn't because there was anything wrong with the way they were built, but if you put 1,200 horsepower in front of a little drive and you want to go out and drive it like a V drive, you're gonna break it. Same thing with the trans and all the desert stuff. It's big money, but it's a fun hobby.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of getting to the end of this thing. I'm gonna jump back to Evan's boat a little bit. Evan, I guess this is a question for both of you. When is the Scarab going to be done? When are we going to start seeing, when's the first trip? When are we going to start seeing pictures and videos of it?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. That's right. No, we just talked about this yesterday, and I was like, you think maybe we can get it done by Memorial Day weekend? I'd like to go try out meat. And he's like, yeah, I think so. So, yeah, so we're looking at Memorial Day weekend. So
we're getting there.
Yeah, we're going to try. I'm going to try to mock up motors this week and get motor mounts done. That's the biggest hurdle. It's a 38-foot boat, so to move it outside means we got to move every other boat and get it under the hoist and get the motor mounts mocked up. But once that's done, once we know where the motors sit, because I can't change that, then I can figure out where everything else is going to go, batteries and trim pumps and all that, and hopefully that'll go quickly. We're not rigging the whole boat right now. We're just doing the engine compartment. And then next year we'll do the dash and this interior and that, and so hopefully it goes fast. But it's one of those things where every time we turn around we realize there's another part that we didn't have. Somehow I think I gotta find a trim ram. I think we've got 3 out of 4 trim rams or something.
Yeah.
So
I'll start working on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe the guy that you said has got all those TRSs has some trim rams laying around.
Maybe so. I'll make some phone calls.
So, but the motors are built and they're dressed. We're trying to clean the drives up and just try to make sure stuff goes on once and stays on. But yeah, Memorial Day is a good goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's got to get done so we can do the inner tube race, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Did you hear about that?
I saw that.
Inner tube race.
Saw that.
Right.
I've been wanting to do a Catalina inner tube race for years.
But now we found out the rope's not tied to the inner tube. You actually have to hold the rope. So I don't even know how that's going to work.
No, I'm out.
I was going to ask Thad Finley in his triple engine skater if he'd pull me. I'm sure he would. He'd probably kill me, but
I thought maybe we'd do like a group class and we could all ride one of those old banana tubes,
Yeah, there you go.
Do a Mexico style?
Yeah, exactly.
Rocky Point style?
Right on. Yeah. Poor bastard holding the rope's got a hell of a job, though.
I've never ridden an inner tube holding the rope, but I can't imagine that's an easy thing to accomplish. Like that's a lot of drag.
Yeah.
It's like getting up on a water ski for 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it'll definitely be ready for the Catalina Fun Run. I'm not going to miss that one. So,
Well,
I think Dustin's the only guy that's been to Catalina and back in a 22 Daytona with a 1,200 horsepower blower motor on it.
No,
actually lived to tell.
The 22 had a little 600 in it.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah.
But we did take it to Catalina. It was a good time. It was actually the smoothest Catalina run I've ever had.
That's crazy.
It was stupid. I did it in my 22. I did it in my 25, and I attempted it in my 30 and didn't make it. So it was too rough in the 30, but the 22 made it.
Yep.
So it was fun. We'll go back. Catalina's a good time, man. If I ever get my boat done, we'll go out and run out there. I'm not scared of the ocean.
For sure.
We're doing it with Evan this year in the Scarab, so you got to finish the Scarab before Catalina Fun Run because we're counting on you, Dustin.
I don't know when Catalina Fun Run is, but I assume it's after Memorial Day, so we'll do
it. It is. It's mid-June. We'll have it. We'll be ready.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else you want to, Evan or Dustin, you want to talk about? Evan about the boat, Dustin about Menace Marine. We can kind of end with any closing comments you guys might have.
I don't think so.
No, I don't have anything. I appreciate you having us on. Hopefully it wasn't too boring, you know?
No, I think it was 50 minutes of in your face. A lot of good experiences shared, a lot of good business experiences, boating experiences. It was cool to have Evan back on the show, talk about where the build is right now, because I know that when we had him on the first time, the build was just kind of starting. I think you still had Hick Life. It wasn't gone yet. I think you said it was sold but not gone yet. So it's cool to hear where, this piece of history is really coming together. And I'm excited to see it, going on the ocean. One thing that we did want to talk about is Evan brought it up kind of before the show, is Evan's kind of doing a new thing called Liquid Chaos. Evan, you want to kind of go into that a little bit before we close this?
Yeah, so that's kind of going to be I don't know how to really put it, kind of the ocean page of Facebook on the West Coast now. We got some people on board with us. My partner, Johnny Plunkett, who has actually had the page. He came to me about a year ago and said, hey, I want to do kind of a tech page and whatnot. And he's also a fire chief in Arizona. So when the fires happened, he had to go off. So the page kind of went dormant. And then, I've talked to Greg Atkins with River Whips, and Greg's kind of wanted to do an ocean thing for a while. And everything just kind of happened in the last couple of weeks. And I talked to Johnny and said, hey, do you want to kind of make this an ocean page along with the techie kind of stuff? And he's like, yep, I'm on board. And I told Greg, I said, instead of doing like Ocean Whips or something, are you down with the Liquid Chaos name and kind of let me take control of the ocean side of things and supporting us? And he was like 100%, man, because it's something that's missing, It died out about 10 years ago for some reason on the West Coast, and we're going to bring it back, We're going to have
it's weird. I've talked about that with a lot of people, not so much the page stuff, but just the ocean scene out here is dead. Like it is. You go to Florida, granted, I'd way rather be in the water in Florida than here, but there's a lot of there's a lot of cool stuff out in the ocean out here. There's even Catalina, Newport, San Pedro. There's cool restaurants to go to. Chowder Barge is my favorite, little shithole barge. They got good food and drinks, and it's it feels like a river vacation, and you can do it in one day. You can go home and still mow your lawn on Sunday, and and I don't I can still be around and not feel like not have customers asking me how come you're at the river and my boat's not done. Like right. You can sneak away for a day, and it's the ocean's a good time. Saltwater's rough on trailers, but other than that, wash your boat, wash your stuff, and have fun. Hopefully your page kind of highlights that a little bit and brings do some events or whatever. Get that ocean thing going again. Show people there's places to go.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of what it's about. Because when I came out here, that's what I thought. It's coming to the West Coast. I was going to be in the performance boat mecca of the world. And I came to find out that it's all in Lake Havasu. It's not even in California. And I met up with a couple of good Corey and Chris, the guys that I boat with in the ocean, and they were, hospitable enough to not give me too much shit and take me out there and, and run and whatnot, show me kind of how to do things and how to flush my boat motors out when I get out of the, and a lot of people are scared of that. They don't know, but if they have people that are willing to go show them, like when we went to Catalina with me and Eric and Dale in the boat, we went to Catalina, like there was a 14-foot rubber skiff going over there too.
Yeah.
So like people that are in 23-foot D bottoms, and you just got to watch the weather. You know what I mean? Like you can go, and there's no reason why people shouldn't go.
When I went in my 22, we went in my 22 Daytona. My buddy had a 24-foot HTM, and the biggest boat that went was a 28-foot Eliminator Eagle. And I didn't have a radio. I had a cell phone, and it was foggy. Like when we left San Pedro, you couldn't see, 60 feet in front of you. And but we checked the swell report, and it was good. And I told him, the boat's insured. Don't lose me. Like I don't know where I'm going. Don't lose me. Yeah. And my buddy told me, he's like, dude, when you get to Catalina, you'll see. And we got there, and sure enough, there's 19-foot forewinds with 8 guys in it with fishing poles. And you find out they came from San Diego. And you're like, what the hell? And there's no room for fish. Like, I don't know what they were planning on catching and where they were planning on putting it, but they made it there. So, you just gotta be smart about it and look and check the weather. And like you said, have somebody that knows and have somebody that's willing to show you. And that's, there's 10 million pages, but that's one good thing that's come from all of these is, people are generally friendly, and people want to go boating. They want people to go boating with. And so if somebody's never had the courage to go on the ocean because their friends won't go, and all of a sudden they see somebody on your page, it's like, yeah, man, we're going to go on Saturday. Meet us down there. Yeah. You got a small boat, you go in the middle. We'll keep an eye on you. It makes people feel comfortable.
That's exactly what it's going to be, and it's even going to go further than that in the next couple of years. We're going to try to get with, Corey and Eric, who do the Catalina Fun Run, and Pete Boyer with the scope that he's trying to, get scope back together again. And, we're going to do some poker runs. We're even going to do some gentleman races. I hate to say the word race, but some gentleman races. Like I'll get in with a couple of buddies and put in $1,000 and we'll run from Newport to San Diego, and whoever gets there first wins. Let me take that back. Whoever doesn't break wins, right? So that's why Dustin built the motors he built, because I'm only
and the loser pays the bar tab, right?
That's right. The loser pays the bar tab, but that's something missing. All the round circle 4-mile stuff and offshore now is boring, man. Like let's run some endurance races like they did back in the day with Reggie and Don Arenal and all those people that. I want to bring that back, so that's what we're doing it for.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I think I don't know if we're supposed to be done by now, but the boating industry is such a hard thing to watch. I mean, in boat racing, besides drag racing, you can't see any of it. You go to a ski race, you can see the 50 feet they go in front of you, and then that's it. And offshore racing, I mean, granted, I'm as blind as you get and could still drive a car. But they, you can't see the races, But now we're finally in an age where technology lets us see it. I mean, anybody with a drone can put these things on Facebook, and you can finally see the action. But racing died before we had the chance to do that. I mean, without fan support, it goes away, But now with all these pages and people, all the photographers that are in it professionally, all the guys that are in it amateur just because they love the sport. Can bring some of this stuff back, and I mean, not to be like the street outlaw kind of thing, but something like that. I mean, all it takes is a couple buddies that want to go out and and race around and bring some attention back to it. And there's a lot of people that are interested in it. It's just the avenue to get there has been restrictive, and I think it's I think with the page that you're doing and everything that's out there, I think that can kind of come back, which would be cool.
Well, and Evan kind of talked to me, earlier this week too about, getting some of these people that do have a history with offshore and kind of, highlighting, their accomplishments or, if you're getting it going again, doing some live shows with them, maybe from events or from, a gentleman's race or from, the Catalina Fun Run, doing stuff where people can really see who these people are and, hear them talk about, hey, we're doing the ocean thing still, whether it's just a family run out there on a Sunday or a Saturday or, whether we're doing these little races or these fun runs, like we're doing it. And, I'm excited because when Evan called me the other day and said, "Hey, I want to start working on more ocean stuff. Are you in?" And it's not something I know a ton about, but when I came in to do the Boats and Shows podcast, it wasn't something I knew a ton about either. Every time I have guys like Dustin, Evan on the show, I just learn a ton, and I'm no professional. So it's cool to hear you guys talk about it, and that it is accomplishable. And running a helicopter is cheaper than people think. It
is.
Rent a helicopter for a day. Get 10 buddies to throw in some cash. If you got a boat, you got cash. Sometimes if it's not broken.
Sometimes. Sometimes. Yeah.
And rent a helicopter and get some cool footage and say, look, dude, this is what we did. A run to Catalina, or a run from San Diego to Catalina. Rent a helicopter and get some cool footage. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it's just, and I appreciate all the help. It takes people to do this. It takes, it takes River Whips with 50,000 members and the V-Hole guys with 1,500 members, and it takes Dustin, and it takes River Dave, and, people that just support what we're going to do. And, I'm one of those guys that I have every sticker under the sun on the back of my truck because I support everybody except Menace Marine because he won't make any. But,
I need a sticker guy too. If anybody out there makes stickers,
I actually have a guy. I'll get you his number. I'll get you his number. He'll hook you up. But yeah. So it takes. So I appreciate Greg and Dave and Frank and Al and all the guys that support everything that we do. And with those guys, we'll make it happen. I'm not a no guy. I don't take no for an answer. So we're gonna make it happen. So
definitely.
There you go.
So there's Liquid Chaos. There's Menace Marine. There's Evan.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is the second time Evan's on. I'm sure we'll have like 10 more times. We're going to do something else from the Catalina Fun Run.
Probably.
But thank you guys for joining us tonight. This is a long show. A lot of fun, though. I definitely think Evan sent me a text this morning that said we were going to set the bar, and I definitely think this is we set the bar with this show. It's really cool. We've got a lot of comments that I'll go through, and a lot of people watching still. So thank you guys.
Cool.
Right That's good. Hopefully it was good, man. I had a good time. I'd be happy to do it again.
Absolutely.
It was a lot of fun. Evan, I'll try to get your boat done.
Yeah, right. Yeah. When we get it done, we'll do another one with the finished product. Maybe we'll do it out in the boat. So you never know.
There we go. Yeah.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.